Hello my friends, today we are going to talk about blend ranges, and I know they confuse a lot of you, so I will make it really easy to understand them. My name is Olivio, I'm a professional designer from Vienna, Austria, and I want to thank all of my patrons who support me and make these videos possible. Let's get started. And by the way, throughout the videos I will show you some great tricks, and at the end of the video I will also show you some really cool ways, for example, how to replace a sky to use the blend ranges. So let's get started. The first thing I'm going to do is to create a rectangle real quick. There we go. Really nice big rectangle here, and we can use this to explain how the blend ranges work. So to get to them, you select the layer and then you click here on this little cogwheel that's right next to the blend modes. There we go. Let's click on that, and there we have it. Blend options with our blend ranges. And you have these big boxes in here, and on the left box it says source layer ranges, and on the right box it says underlying composition ranges. And both of these boxes work in a way where the dark values are on the left and the white values are on the right side. So let's watch what's going to happen. So when I pull down for the box for the underlying composition ranges, this point, you can see that the darker values are coming through the white of our rectangle. And when I move this up again and move down the right side, you can see that the lighter values are coming through, but not the darker values. It looks a little bit like a faint negative. Okay, so when we do the same thing on the source layer ranges, you will see in the dark area, nothing happens. And on the light area, you can see that our box is becoming completely transparent. And by the way, when I click here, I can create additional points. And you can see right now they are lines. And when I unhook this box down here, it will turn into a curve. But you will see that nothing happens right now, and the reason for that is that our box, of course, only has one value, and that value is white. So what we're going to do now is we're going to go over here and set it to a gradient and have the gradient going from black all the way to white, so we have all the gray values in here. And now if I pull down in the middle, you can see that this will make it transparent. And it's when I pull down the left side, you can see that the left side is becoming transparent. And of course, when I pull down the right side is becoming transparent. And on the other side, now also something happens. So when I make this point here, you can see that this is coming through also depending on the values. Okay, very nice. So now that we understand this, there are two more fields here to understand. And this is the blend gamma and the coverage map. So what are they doing? And I pull down here on the light side, you can see we have a blend here. And the blend gamma, what it actually does is to adjust how this is blending with the background. And this is mainly used to blend two colors together, so you can adjust the way they blend. You see, so this is a little bit softer when I go to 1, and this is a little bit harder when I go to 3. So basically that's the blend ranges. You probably won't use that very often, just so you understand what that is doing. And then we have the coverage map, and in the coverage map, the interesting thing here is the naming is not so great, because actually what this does is adjusting the anti-aliasing. And what anti-aliasing is, I will create a circle real quick, and I will set this to white as a color, fill color, and we will zoom in really strongly so we can see individual pixels. Now we have the pixels here, and anti-aliasing basically means that it will create these additional pixels here that have intermediate values, so it looks like a softer edge, like as if it would blend with the other color together. So it looks better on your screen basically. And what the coverage does is it decides how strong and in which direction this blending is going to go if at all. So you can see here, if I move this completely up, this is moving to the outside, away from the center of the circle. And if I move it down, it's going towards the center of the circle, it's moving inward, and it's giving me a really hard edge here. This could be interesting, for example, when you create something like pixel art and you want to have pixels that are filled with only one value and no blend pixels in between. Again, something you probably don't use that much. Okay. So now that we have understood that, there is two more things to look at. One is that, of course, because these are blend ranges, you don't only have the master file, you also have your colors. In this case, it's red, green, and blue. By the way, up the blend ranges, this is only available in RGB. So you can adjust the blend ranges for the individual colors or color parts of your layer, basically. And down here where it says in and out, this is basically a mathematical formula where you say x equals epsilon. So if you write for if x is 2 and epsilon is 5, then this is just calculating it. So it's moving the point basically in that position. So let's write here 10% for in, and then 50% for out. And you can see that now the point from the right side has moved to 10% on x and 50% on epsilon. So it's in the middle of basically the height. Okay, so that is what that does. And now let's go to some really cool uses to make this a lot more fun and practical. I will remove these two test fields right now. And the first thing we're going to do is we have this picture here, and you can see it wasn't the greatest day. We have a white sky, not that cool. We want to replace that real quick with a sky. So what you're going to do is, first of all, have a great sky. That's a given. So you can download cool pictures from the internet. And of course, I will link all the pictures I use here in the video description. And then you click on your sky. Click on the little cogwheel again, and we want to go with the underlying layer, and we want to bring through all the darker values. So we push this down, and then we create a second point as a curve and push this down even more until we are satisfied with the values that are coming through. Like this, for example. And of course, you might point out, hey, this is not good because the sky is looking through at the lake because the lake is also light. So no problem with that. We will just click with the sky layer selected on our mask down here. So it's creating a mask. And then you take your brush, take a round brush, make it a nice size that you want to use, and set the color to black. And then you just paint out the sky in areas where you don't want to have it. And you can see it's even coming through a little bit on the grass and on the trees. So probably try to paint it out in most areas just roughly, because the rest is done by the blend mode. And this is, by the way, a thing I want to point out here. This is a quick fix. It's not a perfect fix. It has its problems. When you zoom in here, you will see that at the horizon, it's not that great, but for a quick solution, if you just need these two pictures blend together in that kind of way for a sky replacement, it's pretty cool, and it doesn't take any time at all. So you can see for a quick fix, really good enough. Another thing that I'm going to show you is here we have the original picture, and here I have an old paper. And now I want to have an effect where it looks like I have a photograph in black and white on this old paper. So we can do basically the same thing. I will again click on the cogwheel while I have my paper selected, and then go with the underlying composition and bring through the picture, create a second point here so I can decide how much I want. And because this is a colorful picture, but we want it to be a black and white picture, I'm clicking on my picture layer and I'm going to create a black and white adjustment. So this has to sit right on top of my photo in this case. And because we have a lot of blue in our water, I'm moving down the blue part. So this is becoming a lot darker. So you can see already this looks like a nice black and white picture. Let's go back and adjust our blending. So we have more of a old photo style. Let's go like this, and maybe we want to have some pixelation on that. So a little side trick here, I'm going to create a new pixel layer. So you click here, add pixel layer, there it is, and go here to filters. I will disable the other layers real quick so you see what's going on. So filters, noise, and then Perlin noise, and this is creating this like an old TV kind of noise thing. The zoom will make it bigger or smaller, so we want to have it fairly small, like this maybe. And you can play around with the other settings to see how that looks. And let's set this layer to soft light now. There we go. You can see this looks like an old photo. And there we have a nice effect. And another thing that you can do now, just to bring a little bit more flair to that, is go down here and use the rounded rectangle tool. Pull out a rectangle over all of the picture. Adjust the corner size. Here it says percentage, so the roundness of the corners, like this, for example. There we go. And now what we can do is, with our control key pressed, we click on that rectangle, and then we click on the mask layer without the control key pressed, and it creates a mask with exactly that shape. Pull out the mask and delete the rounded rectangle. There we go. Control D to deselect, and now you can see we have this nice paper outline that you would also find on old photographs. And this is kind of a really quick way to make this kind of photographing look, especially using the blend ranges as I have shown. That was the tutorial to show you what the blend ranges are and how they function. Thank you very much for watching, and see you in the next episode. And by the way, if you want to suggest some topics for tutorials, please do so in the comments. See you. Bye.